disrespect your future by comparing yourself with something or someone that can't even compete in it or compete with it. You should never disrespect literally who you are. Don't allow popular comparisons to rule your choices. You're too great for that. Don't shut the door while God is still delivering your future. Go and look at somebody and say, don't shut that door yet. Don't shut that door yet. Too many things you have come in your way. You should never shut the door while God is still delivering your future, and never conclude a matter until you've exhausted all of the contradictions. Make sure that you work it out clearly, that you investigate, you vet out the essence of what you have to do to get where you have to be next. Understand that no matter what your situation is, God is greater than your situation. Speak that to somebody. God is greater than your situation. So no matter what it looks like, you have to understand that God is greater than your situation. Learn to make then your decisions count, because even under duress, he was positioned where he could blossom. King Zedekiah did not have it that bad, just like most of us sometimes who pretend we're having such a bad situation, but we have not suffered nearly as bad as those who labor to get us to where we are. And sometimes we placate the process when we really should be spending more time being appreciative of the fact that we made it through some things and that God has delivered us to the destination we're at right now. Understand, under duress, he was still positioned to blossom. Look at your neighbor and say, it might be tough, but God still has you where you can blossom. Yeah. Understand who he was. Understand that he was one of the seed of the land. He was a native. He was not a foreigner. He was not one of the Babylonian princes. He was planted in the fruitful field. For Jerusalem as it was, he was placed by the great waters where he would be likely to grow, like a willow tree which grows quickly and grows best in moist ground, but is never designed nor expected to be a stately tree. He put him with what he had. And sometimes you have to use what you have to work with. And stuck in that posture, though, Zedekiah, while he continued to be faithful to the king of Babylon, he did very well. And if he would have just reformed the kingdom, if he would have returned to the God of his duty, if he had done that better, and by any means, at that posture, he may have recovered the former dignity. All this, after all, this is where God had planted them in the promised land. He was where the promise of Abraham had been given. Even though he had to start over, he didn't want to start from that lowly estate. Look at what the Bible says in Ezekiel 17:5. He says of the great eagle that the great eagle took of the seed of the land and planted him in a fruitful field and placed it by great waters and set it by a willow tree. This plant grew, and though it was a willow tree, a little account was made of it, and it became a spreading vine of low stature and a great blessing to his own country. And the fruits that came out of it were good and spread it throughout the particular land. It was a lofty cedar and opportunity there. Verse 6 in this particular chapter says it grew, and as it grew, it brought forth branches. But look at what it did. It grew, it became a spreading vine, and the branches turned toward Babylon, and the roots were turned toward Babylon because they had planted them. So they were giving their seed in that issue there because they were in peace and they were growing and things were happening good for them. And it shot out sprigs where they were able to grow and get better. So look at what's going on here. Nebuchadnezzar, he's pleased. Somebody said the king of Babylon, he's pleased. Yeah. Because the branches are turned toward him and resting on him as a vine in the wall. He shared the fruit of the vines that's from it, and they were under him and they were at his disposal. So he was okay. He was okay with it. The Jews had reason as well to be pleased, for they sat under their own vine, which brought branches and shot forth sprigs and gave them pleasantness and promises to come. But then the story does not end there. The story then begins to say something else happened. A second parable shows up in verse 7. We've got a problem here. Look at somebody say, we got a problem here. And the problem is just south of Israel. It's just south of them, and that problem is Egypt. Somebody say Egypt, Egypt. Now here it is now. Egypt is getting ready to be on a rise again. Understand this, because this is not the Egypt of Joseph and the book of Genesis. Because remember that Pharaoh got drowned? I don't know why Christians believe that when Pharaoh got drowned, that Egypt was gone too. It said Pharaoh and his army got drowned. Didn't say the whole nation got drowned. Just Pharaoh and his army got drowned. And so the nation continued on. And when you look further, you begin to see what happened in this particular posture here. And just south of them, verse 17, verse 7 of the chapter 17 says, there was another great eagle. Somebody say, another great eagle. With great wings and many feathers. But notice the difference here. This one didn't have a long span, and it didn't have many colors, because it represented a lesser kingdom than Babylon. And so, behold, the vine did here bend her roots toward him. Now here it is. The vine already is being blessed in Babylon, because it's not being touched. They're not being messed up. Zedekiah is doing just well here in Babylon. But just because another eagle shows up and say, I can do better for you than what you're getting right now, all of a sudden their vines start reaching over and stretching themselves out toward Egypt. All of a sudden they're going two-time their blessing. Let's pay attention to here. Now it's getting ready to be a challenge here. Look at somebody and say, this is a challenge here. Because, see, a vow has been made already with this. The problem is that Zedekiah didn't realize when he was well off. And I want to say that really real quickly to a lot of us, because sometimes we don't know how good we have it. Look at somebody and say, you got to know how good you have it. Yeah. Sometimes we arguing and fussing over stuff we don't have any business arguing and fussing over. Sometimes we mad about things we shouldn't be mad about. We're sitting up in privilege whining about stuff that we want to see happen, and sometimes don't recognize that things are better than they have been. And if we would tell the truth, we have not gone through as much as we whine about. Go on, look at your neighbor, because some of them are whiners right now. I want you to look at them in the face real quick and tell them, listen, you need to stop whining about stuff. You need to put a smile on your face. You need to be happy about where you are. You need to find some joy every day. Every time I see you, you shouldn't be moaning and negative declarations. Something should be good about where you are. I mean, things are not that bad. Look at somebody and say, they are not that bad. So here it is, just because somebody's on the other side, just because there's a new eagle in town. No, Lord have mercy. Just because there's a new eagle in town, here it is. You know, something about the grass greener on the other side, or something that mess us up sometimes. They switch all the way from where they planted, where they're growing, where things are going well, where they're protected, where they're in peace, and they go all the way back over to the area of Egypt. Now, this is a mess here. Because the big issue here that we're dealing with here is that this is the place that God got them from in the beginning. Stop here for a minute and talk to your neighbor and say, why you keep going back to what hurt you before? Go ask him. Go talk. Don't y'all be shy. Go talk. Say, why every time you have a little problem, you go back and repeat your cycles? Why you go back and keep doing the same thing, the same way, looking for the same result, trying to find peace in something that gave you trouble all the time before? What make you think it's going to change this time? Don't talk to your neighbor, just ask him, say, what makes you think it's going to change this time? Yeah. So here it